Not too bad, not too bad. I'm really excited for this. I've been looking forward to it for a while.
Yeah, what are we here to hear about today? We're going to see all things weapon. Oh, wait, Donnie.
How about now?
You sound amazing.
There we go.
Let's try number 3.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to let.
What's going on, Donnie?
What's up, buddy?
So.
When we started off, there was 2 of you on each side of me, and it was my dream come true.
Oh, it sounds like a good dream. So everybody, welcome to Operation Phoenix. We are the weapons panel. I'm Ray Kromphold from the Bond Armory, and that handsome fellow over there.
Don Waldron from Quantum of History.
Yeah, so we thought today we would talk about one weapon in particular. We're going to touch on some other things as well, but the most iconic of which of Bond's weapons is, of course, the Walther Ppk. These are all been safety checked. These are actual firearms. I think Donnie might actually have 1 or 2 toys to break out a little later. They've been safety checked as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you definitely can't have a weapons panel without, of course, talking about the Walther Ppk. The last time I actually got to hold it, so I almost didn't let Ray get it back, but Ray stole it back after he left.
I had to. I couldn't wrestle it away from you with those big-ass arms.
Vaughn didn't always have the Walther Ppk. He actually started with a different gun, which was the 25 ACP Beretta. He had that from the first for the first 5 novels as Ian Fleming was writing it. Yeah, that little joint right there.
Yeah, that's the 25.
You know, that's what Bond started with. So the first 5 novels that Ian Fleming wrote, that's the one that he used, was the 25 ACP Beretta. It's a small gun, but as he's writing the 5th novel, which was From Russia with Love, he gets a fan letter from this guy named Major Geoffrey Boothroyd. Geoffrey Boothroyd was a major in the British Army. He was also a world-renowned firearms expert. So he started reading Ian Fleming's books, and he thought, man, I really like these books, but my problem is that he's using this little tiny gun. And as Major Boothroyd called it, a lady's gun, and not a nice lady at that.
You've been practicing your Scottish accent since the last time you did it.
Since like I said, it's not quite the leprechaun that it was, but it's getting better. It's getting better. I need like a British Bond addict or all those guys with the real nice British accents to help me out here. A linguist coach. But so he's almost done writing From Russia with Love. He gets this letter, and Boothroyd says, "Love your book, love James Bond, love everything about it, but the problem is that he's using too small of a gun. That gun is way too small. Somebody, a spy of his caliber, wouldn't use that." So Ian Fleming gets the letter, and he reads it, and he indoctrinates it. He says, "You know what? This guy's right. I need a new weapon." So he writes Boothroyd back, "You know what? You're right. What would you suggest?" Boothroyd comes back with a Centennial Airweight. It was but the problem was with a revolver. And yeah, see the upgrade? It's like me to Ray.
It's a great comparison.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's not the size of how you use it.
And so that's it. I guess we're getting kicked off, Ray. So he gets it and he thinks about it, and Ian Fleming was like, no, he needs to have a revolver though. So he writes Boothroyd back. He says, "Well, I want a semi-automatic." And Boothroyd goes, "I know, I got it. You need the Walther Ppk." So Ian Fleming thinks it over for a while, and then he goes, "You know what? There it is, just right. You know, it can't be too big, it can't be too small. It's got to be just right." So he does it, and he actually puts. So as he's writing, if anybody here has not read From Russia with Love.
Spoilers.
Earmuffs real quick. Earmuffs.
It's a total dad thing to say, too.
Yeah, mute me or whatever. They probably already have muted me at this point. So he writes in the ending that Bond is trying to pull out when he's in the fight with Rosa Klebb. He's trying to pull it out of his holster, and he can't. The Beretta gets caught in the holster, and then Bond gets poisoned, and it's kind of a cliffhanger at the end of the book. So Dr. No starts, and if you've ever seen the movie, they're almost exactly the way the book goes. He hands over his 25 Beretta in exchange for the Walther Ppk. And actually, gospel right here. The actual expert is Major Boothroyd puts on his expert voice. As a matter of fact, sir, Maybe I should practice some more. Right?
I think what's Daniel wearing would be very disappointed in your accent.
5,000 rounds in each at 25 yards. Of all of them, I choose the Walther Ppk 7.65 millimeter. And then he goes on and says, of course, it's about 32 caliber compared with Beretta 25. And he goes on to talk about how the Airweight revolver, 38 caliber hammerless, and all the things. But if you've seen the movie, Dr. No, the book almost perfectly, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's your 25, and this is the 32.
Mm-hmm. And and then he writes it in Dr. No, and you see the scene that he hands over his Beretta. So it's also cool to think that Ian Fleming had the humility. He had this big time book. He was becoming a star. He still had I like the bedtime stories with Donnie. So yeah, he had the humility to indoctrinate something that a fan did, and it's nice to see that a fan was like, you know what, I'm going to do a well thought out letter instead of hashtag gun too small, hashtag ladies gun, hashtag purse pocket. So yeah, that's how he actually went from the Beretta to the PPK.
Yeah. And it's interesting too that every actor that played Bond actually ended up using the PPK for one period of time, but it doesn't actually appear in every single movie. Like I said, M calls the Armor and Dr. No, but that gun that he actually gets handed isn't actually a PPK. It's actually the full-size Walther, the Walther Ppk. After that, let's see, in the Dr. Dent scene, or Professor Dent rather, that's actually not a Walther at all. It's not
they should
a
change it to Dr. Dent though. I like Dr. Dent. You're onto something with that.
Dr. Dent does sound good.
Hey, gentlemen, this is Q Branch. Every now and then, do you mind if I put people in and pepper some of the questions that they're asking?
No, by all means.
No?
There was one that was just put up that I think one of you might have canceled out, but it says, do you think that Bond would ever use a Sig Sauer? I conceal carry a P238 and use an M11A1 for home defense. If Bond no longer carried a Walther, I personally think that a P239 would be a solid choice for him. What do you think?
I'm a fan of SIG. I'm a really big fan of SIG, actually. You can't beat any German company making firearms, whether it's SIG, Walther. He's actually used the 226 quite a bit in Daniel Craig's era. We see him holding it in the new poster now for No Time to Die. But if I was going to pick one for him, I'm really digging the SIG P365. It's about the same size as the PPK. Holds a full 10 rounds of 9mm, so you have a bigger round. For example, I just happen to have it right here. This was Bond's caliber, and this is a 9mm. In Skyfall, Bond is actually given a PPK in 380, which is also called 9mm short. It's just a little stubby. It's a little neck down. Yeah, I'd like to see a SIG. I'd like to see more SIG. I don't think there's another firearm that can replace the PPK, though. What about you, Donnie?
Yeah, it's just as far as most things now this is the Glock. It's just square. It doesn't have the style. The PPK just has the style that, fancy pants Bond would want. Yeah, look at that. Oh. And like I said, when you hold it, there's nothing like it just looks way better in your
By
hand.
the way, gentlemen, this is Q Branch again. Because we have a global audience, we're getting a lot of comments and questions. People very surprised you happen to have ammunition and guns just hanging out there. I think it's worthy to let people know about what you do from a vocational standpoint.
Also true, yeah. Doug, why don't you kick that one off?
Well, I'm a police officer in law enforcement, so I can conceal carry whatever we have. This is my duty carry, Glock 22. So I carry this on duty, off duty. Basically, I have this on my person more than I don't. And then this is law enforcement specific hollow point rounds. So that's why I have access to this. But if I were to retire or be off the job, I wouldn't be able to carry this stuff anymore.
And Ray?
Yeah, I'm a EMT firefighter in the city full-time, but my part-time job, I'm an RSO and customer advocate at a gun range. So I have access to all those. hollow points, any of the weapons, really, anything as long as it's not like class 3, fully automatics, that kind of thing. If it's legal to own, we can play with it.
Wonderful. And I think we have a question from the gentleman in the screen who may not know that he's on screen.
Hello. Nope, can't hear you. Got no audio.
Oh, hold on a second. Is that Ken? Try again, Ken. Ken, you're on. We may have lost Ken.
Actually, since you brought it up with the international audience and everything, why don't we do our first poll, Q Branch? Do you have any firearms experience?
Can you hear me?
Thanks for the.
Yep, we got you net. Well,
All right, here's the poll.
Very cool.
about 2/3 yes, looks like.
Yeah, it's impressive. I like it.
About 44% of the audience is still answering, but yep, it's quite a bit.
So what were we talking about? We had, so the guns in the movies. Bond didn't always have the PPK. In fact, he switched it twice in Octopussy, and I don't know if you want to count it or not. Never Say Never Again. Bond uses a Walther P5, where at the time that was like the newest, latest, and greatest. In Tomorrow Never Dies, Bond switches to the Walther P99, which is my personal absolute favorite handgun, next to the PPK. We don't see the PPK again until Quantum of Solace. We do briefly in the bathroom fight at Casino Royale, however. That's actually the PPK there, but Bond doesn't officially bring it back until Quantum. Let's see, from that point on, he had the PPK. From what we've seen so far in the posters and such, Bond will have the PPK again in No Time to Die. There is a little bit of, I don't know if you want to call it an issue, but with Daniel Craig's era, his clothing, which you're to see next in the styles, it gets a little bit tighter, which makes it harder to conceal. Donnie, you want to touch on that? Oh, wait, we got a question.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Being a firearms instructor in the military, I get this pushed inside my head all the time about the universal firearm safety rules. What do you think are the reasons why they're not following any of those? Like every poster we see, every movie scene, the finger is constantly on the trigger.
Yeah, so there's never touch point in movies, it seems
Bond,
like.
being a British commando or a commander of rank, he should know better because that's one of the first things they ever learn. So what's your point of that?
I mean, I think for me, when you watch, even when you look at when they're clearing rooms in movies and they're like this, clearing a room, a corner like this, you're like this, this action only. I mean, if you look at movies too much for as far as like, and you can see like even a lot of like the cop dramas and stuff.
Oh yeah, the full extension.
It's like, yeah, it's just, and a lot of these actors, I know that some of them do go through firearms training, but there's so much inconsistency, and almost like once you want to pull your hair out sometimes if you watch too much TV and look at it too much how they're handling the gun. Like you can't hold it like that. You never clear a room like that. But yeah, I really think they should move more of an emphasis on the movies, on TV and stuff like that, to have, an actual firearms. You have some kind of familiarity with it.
Because like
would be.
the audience is getting a little more modern now. Like from the movies from the 60s and 70s, you kind of understand because there were no general knowledge of that. But especially the youth today get more and more knowledge every day about this subject. So that's
true. The finger on the trigger thing has always irked me. I did one of my videos from Spectre. That's all I talked about was don't be like Bond. always has his finger on the trigger. He's sitting across from Madeline Swan, and he points the SIG right at her and says, SIG 226, blah, 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 hands it to her, thinking that she has absolutely no idea what she's doing with a handgun. And then she, drops the magazine, which is loaded, by the way, and then racks the slide back, and a round comes out. So he flat out points the gun at her, tells her, take this, point, shoot, try not to blink. It drove me nuts. But yeah, every movie poster you see, Bond's got his finger on the trigger, and it drives me crazy. I always like to see more realism in movies, especially with firearm handling. There you go. Firearm handling, because people do pick up little things from movies. The shooting stances like the Weaver and things like that. You always see people with the cup and saucer. Movies like John Wick now that are actually taking the actors and making them go and do training sessions with places like Taran Tactical, professional companies like that. It just looks better on screen too. So I'd love to see something like that in No Time to Die, or just movies going farther from this point on. But yeah, the safety thing drives me crazy too.
Well, thank you for your input.
Good question, bud.
Thank you.
I think if maybe he just wanted the Spectre to come out as a better movie, that's why he handed it like this.
Imagine how short that would have been if Madeline Swan just took the gun and was like, okay, bang, and shot Bond in the chest.
All right, well.
Now we got a new actor.
All right.
So we talked about each of the different Bond guns. Q Branch, do we have the poll for what's your favorite?
Yes, we do. Let me pull that right up. One moment.
Kyle, I like Spectre too.
The Spectre was. Yeah. We were talking too, like concealment.
And it's up.
Yeah. PPK looks like it.
Awesome.
PPK looks like it's going to probably run away with it.
It's a landslide.
Oh.
Yeah. It's iconic.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
I see a lot of people saying the tank and the rockets and stuff. Yes, the tank would be the second.
Gentlemen, we have somebody who's entered the stage. It's none other than James Bond Canada's Murray Gillespie.
What's up, Murray?
Hi, guys. Hi, Ray. Good to see you. How are you? I apologize for the quality of the camera. My laptop is really old, kind of like me. Hi, Donnie. Really nice to meet you.
How's it going?
I'm good. I've got a question for you, and I'm a Bond fan from way back. Older than both of you, and I talked to Ray about this not too long ago, and I wondered if either of you have a copy of.
Oh, I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Now, way back when they had the James Bond role-playing game, so very Dungeons and Dragons, and they had a module for each, book or scene you're in. So you had a Man with a Golden Gun, a Dr. No mission, whatever. But I was always really drawn to this Q manual, and it's called the Complete Equipment Guide and Briefing Manual for Q Branch for the On Her Majesty's Secret Service role-playing game. And the reason I ask is, they've got the poison shoe, they've got the boats, but there's a whole section inside on just the guns. And just for your own reference, if you ever want to check it out, and something that I thought I would just quickly read to you, because I wondered if you knew this. You were talking about, when Bond surrenders the Beretta and how sort of Bond is linked to real world stuff. And it talks about the replacement of the Beretta for the Walther. And it says here, this automatic, we're talking about the PPK 7.65. So it says, this automatic pistol was withdrawn from the British Secret Service following an unfortunate incident on the 20th of March of 1974. During which Inspector James Benton's Walther jammed as he attempted to return fire upon an assailant. As said assailant was attempting to abduct Princess Anne and her husband, Captain Mark Phillips, the incident drew a great deal of publicity, and the Walther was therefore withdrawn from the Secret Service as a result. I want to know if you guys knew that, and whether you'd ever seen this manual, leafed through it, because literally there's 12 pages all on guns from, the SIG 230, the Taisho 14, Smith & Wesson, Heckler & Koch. They've got the NBA gyro rocket pistol from Moonraker. So I just want to know your thoughts on that.
That's really interesting.
and whether you knew that bit about the Secret Service.
I did not know.
No, I didn't. Really interesting find though. I'll have to look into that.
I'm going to search on eBay, see if I can find that manual. That's really cool.
What's your favorite weapons to fire, each of you?
Ooh, favorite to fire.
M4A1 carbine. I don't know. That's always
I was just going to
full auto.
MP5.
Mine's big Glock.
The MP5 full auto is a whole lot of fun, too.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. You guys are doing an awesome job.
Good time. Thank you, Murray. Yeah, definitely.
Branch has intercepted from Agent Kevin a specific question. If you look up there on your screen, what kind of gun would you like to see Bond or a henchman use that has not already been used?
That has not already been used. I'll tell you, well, we always see the AR platforms. We always see AK platforms. Something different. So many have already been done.
You know, I'd like to see more long rifle, like a good, like a 308 or something like that. Good long, almost like a Jason Bourne, where he comes up and more of like a long, sneaky sniper one. I just watched Rush from Motion with Love yesterday, and to see the little tiny Armandares with the little tiny gun like this, I'd like to see a good, like, proned out 308, you know, something like that.
Yeah, we've only really seen like two good, reasonably good sniper rifles in the whole Bond series. We have the Henry survival rifle, the AR-7 by Armalite, the thing that collapses all into the stock, and then the Walther WA-2000. I wouldn't mind seeing like a Barrett or some sort of like 50 cal, some long distance, like a sniper scene or something like that. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But, Bond's weapons aren't limited to just firearms, too. One thing that I always liked, what's his name? Max Brooks, Mel Brooks' son, wrote a book years ago called The Zombie Survival Guide. And there's a lot of cool, like, survival tips in there outside the whole zombie realm. But the one thing I always pointed out is that blades don't need reloading. So two of my personal favorite knives of Bond's are right here. This is the Gerber 06 automatic. And then the CRKT Sting, which is seems to be a lot of people's favorites.
You sound like a California. You sound like a California gun maker calling it an automatic knife.
Right. Well, that one is automatic.
Automatic, fully loaded knife.
Hello, sir.
Gentlemen, we have aptly named James on the main stage.
Hi, everyone.
How's it going, James?
Hope you can hear me.
Absolutely.
My question was simply going to be, in the books, we obviously, we have Fleming's books, the continuation novels. What then, as a continuation was the work of John Gardner. And in his books, he addressed, I think you mentioned it earlier, addressed the fact that the PPK was taken out of service because it actually jammed when it was being used by bodyguards for Princess Anne. So that became a useless weapon in reality. He actually had them using, Bond using the ASP 9mm. And I'm wondering what your views on that as a weapon are, and whether you could discuss that in a bit more detail if you know about that as a weapon. Because I found it quite interesting because as a gun, it had a very, it had a clear handle, so you could see the bullets in it, so you knew where you loaded up to. And when it was out, the whole way that the sight and the trigger was set up was it so it wouldn't actually be something that would sort of snag from being released. So I'm wondering if that's something you think could ever be useful in films and just your views on the weapon as a piece.
The ASP is actually, that's a very, very cool gun. It's also exceptionally rare and expensive. I can't tell you the exact number that they made, but I know that they're super rare and they fetch a premium when they actually come up for sale. I've never actually met somebody that actually owns one, so I've never actually gotten to handle one. But they're very, very cool. Actually, I think Q Branch might actually know somebody from our forum that loves that weapon so much that's actually his screen name.
Wow.
It is a cool looking gun.
It's a super cool gun.
Oh, I mean, I would always like to have seen in the films that they maybe had gone to looking to using more of the guns that sort of mentioned in novels and things like that. I think it could have been interesting. So it'd be nice to see what's used in No Time to Die, and I think it'd be nice to see what happens with the future of series for weaponry.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And it's interesting that you meant when you're talking about the ASP. One of the unique features of it is that clear handle, so you can see the rounds inside. I wonder if he actually did that as a nod to Bond's first Beretta, because Bond did a lot of modifications to that handgun throughout the novels, and one of them was removing. He called it skeletonizing the grips, which we all think it was just removed. That's a terrible idea to actually fire it with that, because if you hit the sear wrong, you can make the gun go off by itself. But they shaved down the front sight on it. So I'm wondering if that whole like translucent thing with being able to see the rounds is what made him use the ASP in his novels. That's a good question.
Well, thank you very much for answering my question. Thank you for letting me come on, David, to do and ask a question.
Oh, of course. Appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, we have questions now. You must have sparked something, because we have quite a few questions coming in fast and furious. We'll start to bring some more people to the stage. As you warm up, real quick, from a home defense standpoint, what would you suggest? I mean, if you had only one thing and one choice, a lot of people say that the ratcheting of a shotgun is enough to deter somebody, but what do you think?
I mean, when I was on the border patrol, I would always bring a shotgun just for that reason, because you're out there by yourself. So when you have a number of people, there's something. One time I was surrounded in this little ravine, and I had the shotgun, and all I did was just, and the sound, it was you could hear the pitter patter of everybody around me, and then you hear the echo of that thing, and all that little pitter patter that was surrounding me, it all stopped. So there is something about a shotgun, and under intense pressure, if somebody hasn't trained, hasn't done a lot of things with guns, doesn't have the motor skills of that, I mean, I can draw and not even think about it. And I'm sure Ray can, and people with experience with the firearms, it's second nature. You don't even think about it. But somebody who's just the first time, without the motor skills, under stress, all that stuff, a shotgun, you don't have to have very much aim, and it's just intimidating. And that's for home defense. Put it under your bed, call it a day.
Yeah, double-aught ammo. It's just a bunch of BBs inside of the shell. So you'll get like a little bit of a pattern, maybe 2 foot wide or so. So if your adrenaline's going, you got the shakes, you're scared because your life is, in jeopardy at the moment, and there's somebody coming at you. Shotgun's probably one of the best ways to go. It's just point and click. You might have to do some drywall afterwards. But...
Gentlemen, Agent Gavin Amsley has now approached the stage.
Hello, sir. How's it going?
Oops.
Audio.
Hold on. Let's see if that's us. Hold on. Don't touch your mic. Okay, try that again, Gavin. All right, I'm turning on.
Back.
Gavin, can you speak now? There we go.
Donnie, my question's for you,
How's it
mate.
going,
I
bud?
know you're a big GoldenEye 64 fan. What is your favorite gun in GoldenEye 64? The Cougar.
The Cougar Magnum.
Excellent question.
The Cougar Magnum. Oh, I love that thing. There's something about it. And then when somebody tries to hide in the vent and you just snuff them right through the wall.
Awesome.
Yo,
Nice.
that's
It's
my
got to be
favorite.
the RCP
How about yours?
90. I tear shit up with that.
Yeah. 80 rounds. 80 rounds.
What about you, Ray? Have you got a favorite?
Interrupt your phone call.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Sorry,
the
I
paintbrush.
didn't-
Do you guys remember the paintbrush?
We were wrapping up.
So they used to butter the gun. They used to call it a paintbrush because it looked like it. I think it was the.
I hear Bill Koenig.
Oops.
I thought that was Brian.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he was wrapping up a phone call. It's okay. Oh man, the Golden Gun was the one shot, right?
Yeah, the one shot.
I haven't played in so long. That was probably the game that me and my friends always played the most.
Good stuff.
So I'd probably
Guys,
go with
thanks
the
very
Golden
much.
Gun.
It was a bit of a fun question, but keep the good work coming. I'm really enjoying it.
Love it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
question.
Keep the convos going, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I'll pull more people in.
I know there's a ton more questions I've seen from like Chris and Shamir. I've seen a bunch of questions everywhere. I don't have the.
Yes, jet propelled bullets from the gyrojet. That is such a weird gun. Oh man.
Mossberg.
So, yeah, fun.
What do you like, Mossberg or Remington?
Mossberg.
Really?
Yeah, Mossberg 500. That's military uses it, so it's good enough for them.
Oh, we're catching Chris while he's reading.
I was reading from Russia of Love, but I guess it's been spoiled now.
Oh, there we go.
Hey guys, how you doing?
What's going on, buddy?
Very good. How are you?
So last time I asked a very specific question about upgrading from the PPK to the P99. This time going on a slightly different tangent. How much has cinema glorified the use of the silencer? Like, in reality, it does nothing like it says it can do in the films. You know, when they go into a room and like somebody next to them goes, "Did you hear that, Brett?" What happens with a silencer?
Well, I think it's kind of like when, you know, Bond goes judo chop and he goes out so politely, or you get in fights and it's like one flip and they're just conveniently lying down. I think it just makes for good suspense, good theater. I mean, I do want to learn that judo chop though. Just one time. Well, I think it's just more for just the suspense and the idea of that you could just sneak around.
Yeah. What would actually happen in real life if you had a silencer then? What would happen, say, I know like the one thing you never do is fire a gun indoors without ear muffs. Like, I went to a firing range once and accidentally took it off and just went, "Oh my God," put it back again. With a silencer, does it make like any difference whatsoever? Or suppressor, sorry, I'm not sure what the difference
It does. So I think the original patent actually calls it a silencer, but in reality, what it does is suppresses the sound. So that's why you hear both used interchangeably. The main reason that people like them is it does deafen the sound a little bit, but it's not that you hear in the movies and everything. It drops the decibels down enough where you could, if you were, let's say, shooting outside or something, shoot without ear protection. One thing that's happening in the States that's been happening for a couple of years, they keep trying to introduce it, is the Hearing Protection Act, where they're trying to get suppressors included in there, so they take them out of the NFA and no longer be a Class 3 weapon accessory. And it would actually be part of a hearing protection. It's more safety than it is, a tactical accessory. But it does help. It does lower it, but you're still going to go deaf if you shoot inside with it. Unless it's a 22, something like that. It's very quiet, but it's still not that complete silence. It never will be. That's virtually impossible.
And also, final quick question: what would you guys do to fire a Barrett? The massive 50 cal bad boys. Like, what would you ever want to fire? Oh, you don't have one, do you?
No. I have a round around here somewhere.
Ray had a 50 cal and he was holding out on me without letting me fire that. I was going to be upset.
A couple of years ago, we did we do a anniversary shoot every year at the range called the Big Boomer Shoot. I was the RSO, the range safety officer for the Barrett. So we had about 60, 70 people come through, and each one of them fired 1 or 2 rounds from the 50 cal, and I had to lay next to them the whole time in a booth in an indoor range. So all the percussion was bouncing off the walls and coming back and hitting me in the face. And by the end of the night, I had a mild concussion. That's a wicked gun. It's a lot of fun to shoot. They dared me to try shooting it standing up, and I did. Almost dislocated my shoulder. So it kicks like a mule, but it's fun. It's fun. How about you, Don? You ever fire something that big?
I had one pointed at me, never fired one.
Jesus, that's no fun.
Jesus. Hey guys, great panel.
No.
Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Great question.
Gentlemen, we've got some potentially double trouble coming on here. Prepare yourself for this one. Guard your loins.
Aha!
The Australians are back.
Gentlemen, hello.
Good evening. Good morning, where we are.
Yes, 5:40 in the morning here down in Sydney, and we are delusional, but loving Operation Phoenix. Ray, we absolutely love you.
And you too, Donnie.
Of course.
Don't do that.
All right.
What are you doing?
Look, we're not playing favourites. Ray, you've been such a wonderful champion of ours at Trey Bond, starting us off and things like that, so thank you. But we've got a question for you too, mate. We've got our opinions.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their opinions. We're keen to hear. What do you think is the most ridiculous Bond weapon that we've seen?
The hairspray with the lighter. For the
Oh, we didn't think of that.
Didn't think of that one.
Was it the lighter, or doesn't he
the shoe?
The cigar, right?
Cigar. Very true.
That's right. The shoe for the
Taking note. Interesting. Both real world weapons, though. I mean, the hairspray, you know, that's applicable.
That's true. Ray?
The one thing that I think is ridiculous is Casino Royale, sticking with the whole improvised weapon thing. Bond uses his watch as brass knuckles. I want an Omega so bad, and I can't imagine like breaking it on somebody's face. I would just.
That's not how you use an Omega.
So I would. Yeah, that would just kill me.
Well, we were wrong. I said Moonraker laser.
And I bought the camera for my.
Who wouldn't want a laser? I would love a laser
camera gun.
Oh yeah, if I could.
Well, but I didn't even realize that he used his watch as brass knuckles, and
You're supposed to be our MI6 expert.
That's my favorite movie. What am I doing?
Stand down. Ray, you want a job? Come and do a trade bomb.
You have to look very, very close.
We love you guys. Thank
Thanks
you
so much, fellas.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Keep up the great work.
Gentlemen, we have a live question coming to you on your screen from Q-Branch. How much experience do the gentlemen have with the 380 Walther Ppk, if any? I have a pointed question. That's kind of leaving it out there. But oh, he's got it in his hand. Okay.
This is the 380. I've owned the 22, the 32, the 380, and I like the 380. The 32 shoots very soft, but I usually don't get into the caliber debate, but I kind of have been getting a little bit pickier, and I do want a slightly larger round. So I think the 380 is a perfect sub round, meaning below 9mm. 32 I think is just a little too weak. It's a blast to shoot, a lot of fun. The ammunition is just becoming increasingly more rare to find, and therefore more expensive. 380 is very prevalent. It does have a little bit more recoil. It doesn't shoot as soft, but it's not as snappy as say like a 40mm would be. So I've been loving it right now. How about you, Donnie?
Like I said, I've just tried to steal it from you. I haven't even fired it yet. So one day I'm gonna have to go with you and fire it out, and then like I said, we're gonna have to fight over it when we get done.
Right.
Gentlemen,
yeah.
Chris Morales, that one Bond guy is coming to the stage right now.
Hey.
Let's see if we can get him on.
Bring him on.
Hey, how's it going,
Chris?
guys? Hey, how you
There's
guys
our
doing?
boy.
Hey,
Fantastic.
again, I am so jealous. See that poster behind you, Donnie? Again.
Is he there? I don't have him on here.
It's getting. I'm getting a little. Say it again.
Oh, I was
Chris.
just saying, I'm so jealous to see the poster that you have behind you, man. You know, so lucky.
Oh, I mean, how?
Yeah, but you guys are doing fantastic. I'm having a.
Get your hands off my woman.
You think I'll fight you for the Walther? I will fight you more for Anna.
So my question to you guys is, for someone just starting out, trying to fire Bond weapons, what would be the ideal starting out weapon and why? Yeah, anything in the Bond franchise.
Go PPK. PPK in 22. Super low recoil. You barely anything. I always describe it as a BB gun with a bottle rocket behind it. You just get that loud pop. It gets used to the sound, the function. There's, like I said, hardly any recoil. A box of 500 rounds might cost you $25, something like that. So it's super cheap to shoot. You can go to the range all day, and the PPK is available in that caliber. So you can have fun.
Just go back to
shoot that too.
Yeah, and the functionality, what you are, just aperture and trigger controller. You can learn that with the 22 as much as you can with 380 and save a whole lot of money with 22 rounds because the functionality is all the same: trigger control and sight alignment.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Keep it up. I'll see you guys.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Nope, we lost. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Yes.
Too many people be sniffing around Anna.
You know,
after your girl.
by the way, you still haven't sent me the link to get that thing.
What? Did I not do that?
Oh,
You're in
Donnie,
trouble.
your follow-up is not big with Q-Branch.
My phone's been dead for a long time, David. I'll do that right after this. I swear, Dave.
Absolutely.
To the maybe like Q or one of the other ones.
And gentlemen,
I keep seeing. There's a lot of people in the chat room that keep asking about like SIG and stuff like that. We have another poll. Should Bond retire the PPK and use something different?
Let me bring it up, gentlemen. Okay, here is the new poll, and answers are coming in.
Hey, did we take off from space? Does anybody know? They did a successful launch? Totally unbond related. I'm just kidding.
I'm afraid everybody stopped watching the space launch and they're watching the Bond conversion.
Oh, as soon as we came on, that's right.
Elon Musk, I think, just said, all right, we're going to have to postpone, guys. It's weapons panel.
Yeah, the weapons panel's on.
Weapons panel. Shut it down, fellas.
Oh.
Wow.
That's a lot more yeses than I expected.
But still 65% no. I mean, definitely the winner.
Absolutely. There just isn't another gun that's like it. It's just the lines of it. I mean, everything you look at is all squared off and military and jet black. The only time you see those.
I see a lot of questions too about the PPK's concealability, and I think that's one thing we haven't touched on that we were going to talk about, just how to wear it too. Well, I'll let the question come in and then we can go from
We've
there.
got Matt Sadler on the main stage.
Really appreciate your time today. How are you?
Hello, Matt.
Not too much.
What's going on, buddy?
Just wanted to see your thoughts. I know we've got a pretty substantial no on changing from the PPK. But what do you think of the PPS? Still concealable, 9mm. Seems like it could be a good fit.
Yeah,
I like the size for sure.
Yeah, I agree. The simple stats
ergonomics on it. It's kind of like a P99 just shrunk.
Yeah, as long as it still goes, we did as far as like concealed carry, you want to be something that is still comfortable, still can wear it, not too big but not too small. You still have maneuverability in your hands, and yeah, anything like that. If the PPK even is a little even small for my taste, but it's the style for it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good choice. I like the ergonomics of it. It's super comfortable. It reminds me of like a P99 just shrunk down. Shorter barrel and all that. But yeah, it's a great gun. I think that could be an option for sure.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Bond seems to favor the shoulder holster, and with Daniel Craig, his suits being all tight and stuff like that. I know you've got those big ass shoulders of yours, and you wear some nice fitting suits. How do you fare with the shoulder holster?
Yeah, so it was a shoulder holster with the suits. You wanted the PPK, something small like that. And then for like an inside the waistband holster, you can go bigger. I see somebody talking about having 2 carries with the pull-up PPK. Yeah, the same. This is mine that I always use. I got it for like $8. It's my favorite holster I've ever had. I use it all the time. I think that'd be a good idea too. For the PPK be your suit gun, and then other ones that he can use for inside the waistband or a holster or whatever he wants to do. But for the suit, it's really hard to get a good non-printing handgun for a suit.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got Shamir on the main stage, gentlemen. Whoops, he was there. Let's see if he comes back.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Shamir, are you back?
Hey guys, how's it going?
I think there he is. All right, Shamir, you're on.
It's a bit of a silly one.
What's up, buddy?
In terms of Scaramanga's
hello.
gun, do you think that was actually a practical weapon, or do you think it was just
what's going on, Shamir?
How's it going?
Suspension of disbelief?
I think last time
practical is.
Didn't somebody made a functional one, right?
Yeah. I can't remember what his name was. Gadget? No, not Gadget Meister. Hugh Quartermaster Mike or Quartermaster Brian, something like that, on Facebook. He actually managed to make a functional one that fired a blank. As far as practical, somebody would actually use that in real life, that would be a terrible idea. It's only one round. The cool part about it being how concealable it is as far as like transportation. If you were to open up a box and just see all the pieces separate, nobody would know that was a firearm. So that aspect of it's really cool. But practical, as in, use it in real life, probably not the greatest idea. I think there's
like
much better
musket.
options.
Yeah, fair
The way
enough.
it's like a musket, I
Donnie,
don't even
love
think
the
it'd be.
podcast, and Ray,
There'd
keep
be
up
no
the good
barrel
work. I
to it
always
at
love
all.
your posts on Instagram.
Yeah, super close range, and if anything past a certain amount, it's going to disappear off into the distance.
Might as well just throw the bullet at him.
We're gonna have to toughen up the questions. All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
You keep guessing the Bond on this day award right every time. So love the support, buddy.
There you go. Ooh, sounds like a challenge, Donnie.
All right, I'll step it up.
Hey, gentlemen, we've got a really interesting question that I think is actually going to test your knowledge and maybe even a little bit of your creativity. So, and by the way, this question is coming from a spy genre author. We've got Roland Hume to the stage.
Hello there.
Mr. Roland, how's it going?
I've been really enjoying, you guys can hear me, right? Excellent. Yep. Really been enjoying this. So I do have a pondering question that I would like to ask. And I've actually, as David said, I write books, and I've been leaning very heavily on Ray for all his firearms advice. So he's my major Boothroyd in my book. So thank you for that. But look, the quarantine and the lockdown is loosening, so I guess sometime we're going to have to start leaving our homes and going back to work and things like that. The commute's going to get bad. What are the legalities of putting like those miniguns behind your headlights, like they have in the Aston Martin DB5 and the new No Time to Die thing? Because that I think would be great. No one's going to cut me off in New Jersey if I forgot those.
That's it. I think in Texas it's the standard when they sell a car. I believe that they are actually equipped with it. But yeah, I mean, how great would it be? Especially, man, road rage is the worst because I keep flying right next to me. Just one time. Use your blinker.
Right. It's 1 inch.
And New Jersey's like the worst because we've got the BMW drivers and the New Jersey drivers, so blinkers just don't get used.
I feel like if you drive a BMW, you're allowed to get fired upon.
But gentlemen, what do you think about Roland's question of the validity of that? Is that even possible?
It is possible. I'm sure it is. Whether the legality of it is a whole other question.
No, I'm going to answer your question.
Just
right?
no.
We can barely keep rifles in most states, let alone.
I mean, if you don't know it's there, it's not a crime, right?
Yeah, Ms. Pelosi, I'm going to put this in my Tesla and it's going to work out. No, it will never. But it's awesome.
So Donnie, if you pull me over with there, am I allowed to like pull out my little Bond experience card and be like, "We're cool, right?"
Look, if I pull you over, you pull out a Gatling gun. I'm asking you for a test drive, and we're gonna go haul it together.
Oh well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Keep up the great work, man.
Guys, we've got a good question. We've got a live question coming to you. Should be on your screen. What do you think of the standard of gun handling in the films? In the 80s, like License to Kill, it seemed a bit more stiff. Now they seem to be more training, but compared to films like Heat and Collateral, not quite as slick. What are your thoughts on the handling of guns in movies?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before, especially when you're like clearing houses or with a dramatic effect like this. You don't clear a house like this. You're keeping everything close to you, but it's just not as. But I am actually starting to see this in movies where people are coming up and they're keeping low ready and they're understanding the difference between it. So that is a comfort thing. But yeah, when you watch the progression of like old movies when they had no training or anything like that, it is just the little ridiculousness. And touch point, what Ray's always talking about. So what we're talking about with touch point, it's good to go. So we're gonna go. And you're gonna keep it right there. All right. You're not gonna put it on the trigger and all that stuff. As you're clearing touch point, low ready, and go through. You're not gonna be going through like you see them on the trigger and all that stuff. That drives me wild too. To see actors with the hand on the trigger as they're going around drives me nuts. Because if you get startled or you have an involuntary response or you hear noises and get startled, some people are jumpy and you don't want that behind you with the trigger. Get scared and have an involuntary trigger pull.
Yeah, and that's important with no shoot drills too. If you've got your finger on the trigger and like Donnie just said, something scares you, and it's not a villain or a bad guy, whatever. it's a cat or a kid.
Or Baltimore,
that
right?
could go off. It's Baltimore.
We're bigger than dogs.
It's true. But yeah, they have been definitely seen a trend where people, movies are starting to pick up different newer techniques like center axis relock, keeping the gun here, the sole position, no more cup and saucer holding the gun like that. They're bringing it up into modified military grip. So I'm liking what I'm
guys,
seeing.
Thank you so much. Make sure that if you're not doing it, go check out Quantum of History on Donnie's podcast. It's really funny. I got to have the honor of being a host on there for Quantum of Solace, and we had a blast. And it's nothing. It's educational, but it's laughter, wouldn't you say?
That's it. Your episode is second place by 1 vote right now. So you're the second most listened to. So I'm gonna need some support for David to get him up to number 1. Fleming never dies.
Oh, well, that makes sense, actually. And Ray Kromphold, the Bond Armory, you guys know him. He's got videos, he's got Instagram, and he's all things. He's really kind of cornered the corner of weaponry in the Bond community. So, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, David.
You guys staying? You guys staying for the rest of it, right?
I gotta go to
We'll
work.
be around for
sure.
Oh yeah.
I wish. Enjoy, guys. I'll try to pop in as it goes. Thank you so much for your time, man. I had a blast.
Guys,
Yeah,
be
thanks,
good.
everybody.
Thanks.
Good time. Thanks, David.
All right,
Donnie.
there goes the 5-minute counter right now, folks, which means one thing. That means we have got the style panel coming up. And so you want to take a break, you want to go to the bathroom, you probably want to get a drink. It's a good opportunity to get changed. And Ray, if you want to take Donnie out, I feel bad. He's just hanging there.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Oh, cool. I can look at Anna in the background all the time. You know what? I'll just leave it. I'll let.
Yeah, it's a better view. I'm sorry. It just is. No problem. But we will see you all in about 4 minutes and 22 seconds. Talk to you then. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.